I think it's so important that young men think about raising a kid, because everybody is someone's child. And you know what? Most people, from my observation anyway, have basically the mind of a child, really. And sometimes, a lot of the times, teenager mind. I rarely see a proper adult. And how do I define that? I define that as, so I define like the adult mind. Let's see. The characteristics include thinking of the whole group, thinking of the whole tribe, having that responsibility where you think about how my behavior is going to influence this whole tribe. So I better be peaceful, I better be happy with myself and with the world, and I better be having the best life ever. The best life possible. Any obstacles I have, emotional bullshit, just can't have that because I'll pass it on to people around me. We're learning from each other. Everybody's learning from each other. So if you do something amazing, if you if you act lovingly, so people see it. And you know what? If you have a kid, they're going to see that. This is the issue. Okay, this is a big issue. Okay, here it comes. Most men, I believe this. A lot of men, way too many men, they come into fatherhood accidentally or without thinking about it very much. And so they're thrust into this new way of life when their mind hasn't really adapted to this new way of life, which is raising a kid. So what I'm suggesting is let's adapt the mind when we don't have a kid, so that during the first 5 years of the kid's life, which are very important, we're not like newbies to the idea of being responsible for another life, right? Being responsible for the psychological development of an innocent life, a potential savior of many people. So, but it is what it is, Sometimes you just gotta make the best of the situation. Just gotta make the best of it. It always comes down to happiness. Be happy. If you're a man who has come into fatherhood unexpectedly, or, blah, 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 something like that, just be happy. Just be happy. But, so this means that you have to realize that you don't have to do anything to be happy. You're just forgetting that happiness is how you truly are. When you sit down, where's the problem? The problem is always something that we are aware of. So we are not the problem. We are aware. And this awareness is completely empty. It's completely non-attached to what's happening. So nothing has to happen to be happy. Okay. I just want men, I want everyone to know this, to see it in their experience, to experience this, to verify it like a true scientist, and because it will get passed on to their children. And happiness, if it becomes a norm for you, then it will become the norm. It will just be the default for your child. And that's going to affect everyone else. The entire world. The entire world. The entire society. So that's how important each of us are. See, I don't see many men who have truly gotten over the trauma in their childhood. I don't see many at all. But when we think about raising a child seriously, as an ongoing thing, we develop this unconditional love that you might not have felt before, and an understanding of the innocence of children. Okay, so if you can experience that for an imaginary child, right, it's very easy to attribute that to yourself. Okay, so all the trauma in childhood obviously happens in your childhood, alright? So if you can understand, if you can think about your own future child, and just what would you think of them if they were in the same position as you have been in? Let's say let's say you've got some trauma because you asked out a girl and she said no. Let's say that that's the case. What would you do? How would you respond if your child came home and told you that same thing? First of all, I mean, I don't know about you, but I would just feel so proud of them. I would feel so proud. So I just feel so proud. And so yeah, that would create praise. So my response would be, my feeling would be pride, okay, and just like, you're awesome. And my response would be praise, like, well done, you know, you gave it a go, like, you acted authentically. And you know, I teach. See, this is the father I'm going to be. I'm going to be a teaching father. Classic fathers back in like the 50s or whatever. When something happens, you know, when there's a bully, or you sit down with them and you actually impart wisdom to make the maze of life, the dark social maze of life, a little bit lighter. So he can see all the trip wires and all the right ways to go. He can avoid traps. And he can understand how people get into traps. See, this is the joy of being a father. Surely this is one of the joys. So praise. If my child came home and he said, I asked out my crush and she said no, I would praise. I'd be like, wow. And this isn't a thing that I'm thinking like structure thing. Like, okay, first I praise, and then I move it. It's just authentic reaction in the moment, right? It's an attitude you come from. Okay. I'm just explaining my attitude. Maybe you'll get something from it. So, yeah, praise and then encouragement. Like I've already said, like you're amazing, well done, and then what I would do, I wouldn't just leave him hanging. I wouldn't leave him with a rejection, and what I would say, I would have a real long talk with him because he's obviously interested. He's interested in learning this side of life. He wants to understand so that he can succeed. Okay, so I'm going to help him succeed. So I'm going to think about with him, how are you acting? What's your body language like? Yeah, and not with any all with an attitude of joy and exploration and celebration. This is just how I think about life. I love life. Why? Because I'm happy all the time. I've already talked about it. But David, how can you be happy all the time? As if, how can you be jealous? How can you be jealous of someone supposedly having something that you don't when you do have it? Right? Because I can imagine people being jealous, but it's only because they believe that they need to do something to be happy. Happiness is not who they are. And why do I say that? Because at our deepest level, we are awareness. Whether or not it's created by the brain is irrelevant. At our deepest level, we are awareness. We strip everything away from our experience. There is just awareness. And the nature of awareness is complete peace. Nothing can affect it. In the same way that nothing in a movie can affect the screen.